Rightio. On Loose Lines is back and is live, and a couple of slight little technical issues, but I do believe I have President Nick Hooper on the line. Firstly, Nick, welcome back to Campbell's Comments and On Loose Lines, mate.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you for having me. Good to be back with you.
It is indeed. I just had I put the cowboy hat on for you, Nick, too. I don't know if you're watching live or not, but I actually...
I've got the iPad here, yes.
I actually put the cowboy hat on. Anyone wondering why we weren't quite on time for starting? I couldn't hear Nick. I had a major issue, but you have to plug your headphones in, Nick. It's one of those random things that you may not be aware of, but yeah, if you don't plug your headphones in, they don't pick any audio up, mate. So yeah, slight issue that I did have.
Yes, like all tech, it's either go to the wall and flick the switch, or if it's your computer, you turn it on and off or whatever. So it's always the simplest explanation, isn't it?
It is indeed. Right, that was just a bit of fun having the hat on because just a little bit of a side note. But we've got some serious stuff to get through tonight. But firstly, sun's starting to change a little bit, weather's starting to turn a little bit. Spring is not that far away. Breeding season's going to be upon us very quickly, mate.
No, you're right. I was out just having a stroll at lunchtime today, and I could just feel the warmth of the sun on my back. It was lovely. So we've well past the shortest day of the year, and the days are getting longer and the sun's getting stronger. So lots to look forward to as spring kicks in, and we know that spring means breeding season.
It does indeed, and the Breed to Succeed is back, and that's what you and I are we're not mainly here to promote, but we are definitely going to promote that and get the message out there. But as you and I both are aware, there's plenty of other stuff going on. We'll start with the Breed to Succeed going forward, and that is on August the 20th. So we want people to be aware of that. This is a free entry, Nick. So one of the things we need people to be aware of here is that it is free entry, but bookings are essential because there is food and other things provided.
Absolutely. Shepparton Harness Racing, Macca and his team are playing host to us on the 20th of August. We'll go for a few hours through the Sunday evening. There's catering, the bar's going to be open. It's going to be a really fun evening. We've got some wonderful guest speakers who will be talking all things breeding, educating our members and those who are interested in the breeding game. We're going to have about 15 to 20 stall holders promoting all forms of harness racing and breeding. We'll have the studs present. We'll have all sorts of feed suppliers and the like, so that you can go and have a chat, connect with people, learn, catch up with people that you haven't seen for a while. It should be a great social occasion as well as a great educational evening.
It is indeed, and it's, I think one of the best parts of it is you're there with like-minded people, so people that are following the same passions, if you like, and that's one of the key components. We've got Brett Coffey actually watching. Anyone that's watching wants to ask Nick a question. We started these off back through COVID many moons ago, and they're very successful. So if you do have any questions for Nick, give us a yell. He won't be on for long. He's got a dinner engagement with his parents, so we're not going to hold him away from that. That is for sure. The two of the guest speakers are Carissa Douglas Brown from Kerr, Kentucky Equine, again, great supporters of harness breeders and have been for a long time, and Dr. Francesca, I'm going to go with Worsman. I hope I've pronounced that right. Worsman from the Equine Medical. She's an equine medical specialist from Avenel. Plus, there'll be some USA input as well. So that's going to be three of the guest speakers, as well as yourself and Kath hosting tonight. And I would imagine answering plenty of questions as well on that night, mate.
Yeah, very much so. Kath has organised these speakers with her connections into the equine world. Very well credentialed individuals who will provide great information, I'm sure. So yeah, looking forward to that. But yes, people need to book, Paul. There's only so much room there at Shepparton. Yes, we've got catering needs. We need people to book. They can do that by ringing Lower Long Farms or going via our website and getting all the information. But please book. If you are a member, you will go into the draw if you attend on the night for one of 3 service fees from Woodlands Stud, Lower Long Farms and Alabar. We'll have American Ideal, Pastor Stephen and Vincent service fees. That's $21,000 worth of door prizes for our members. If you are not a member, it is very easy to join and it is inexpensive. It's only $55, hbv.org.au, or you can join on the night and be part of it all. But a great incentive to come along. 3 lucky members are going to walk away with 3 wonderful services to 3 of the best stallions that you could hope for, and we're grateful to Woodlands, Lower Long and Alabar for what they've done and in supporting HBV. We really appreciate it.
Nick, you could do this show yourself. I just had to keep up with you just then with the with the slides, and you did a brilliant job, because that's exactly what we want people to be aware of, those 3 stallions. So Pastor Stephen, American Ideal, and it is American Ideal, and
yep.
And Vincent as well. We said there before that we had Brett Coffey on. So Alabar, Woodlands. I've got Woodlands hat here somewhere. I was actually going to put the Woodlands hat on. I should actually put that one on. I had the Ridley one on, and also Woodlands. So yeah, so the 3 studs getting right behind it, which is really exciting, and that's what it's about, and it's always been about that, and the support you get from a lot of people. Kath made mention to me the other day that there's no actual sponsors of this event, but supporters, and these are the people I've got up there at the minute: Harness Racing Victoria, Lower Long Farms, Rand Lab, Barristock, Aldebaran Park, APG, Harasta Trotters, Nutrien, Woodlands. I'm not sure if I said them before. I'm going in an order that I might have got myself confused. Alabar, Asbar, Kentucky Equine Cur anyway, and High Gain. So we want to make sure people are aware of all these supporters and sponsors getting behind and promoting harness racing breeding and trying to take it to the next level.
Yeah, very much so. We're grateful to all of them. They're all going to be present on the night in the display area, along with a number of other firms. It's going to be a lot of information for people to gather. But come along and have a great night. If you've got friends, come as a group. If you're an individual, come on your own. People will be introduced to you. You will get to know people. If you're fresh into breeding, this is your opportunity to come down and get to know people in the industry. Come and have a chat to the committee members who will be there on the night. You'll find that there's great support. So if you're part of a group or an individual, just come on down.
That's Anthony Portelli. I'll get to your question in one sec, but that is the greatest thing you've said there, Nick. You really should have your own show. The fun that you actually have with like-minded people. That's what I keep saying about like-minded people. All of a sudden you sit there and you start talking to people, and you learn things, you understand why certain people do certain things. That is the best part about not breeding on your own, I suppose, is you're part of a big team, and we need the team to increase numbers. We want people to be positive and all the rest. And this is one of the great ways of doing it, by creating friendships with people that you may never have ever met before, and sort of, I suppose, having fun but enjoying the same interest and growing that same interest.
Exactly right. I encourage members to actually bring a friend. Bring your neighbour. Bring somebody with you, someone who's never bred before. Get them along. See if you can get them involved. Those sort of things are what we all need to do as an industry to make sure that we remain sustainable. There are people who each year, for a range of reasons, decide not to breed. It's incumbent upon all of us to keep bringing people into the sport. It's not just the responsibility of HRV or any other individual organisation. We all play a role in making sure that our industry grows.
I think if you're a person that's passionate about the industry, it's I don't take this lightly when I say it, but it's actually your responsibility nearly to help grow the industry. I know that probably might go a bit the wrong way to what people think, but I take it upon myself to try and get people interested in the sport and promote the sport in a great way and change it up. And I think everyone can do just a little bit. If we can get one person's a huge result.
Yes, absolutely right. And you might not even own a broodmare.
Yep.
But I'll tell you right now, you wander into something like this, you'll probably walk out with a broodmare, and it might not have cost you a great deal. So, look, the main thing is it's about our members and educating them, connecting with them. It's all being face to face. The last few years, we've all learnt to do things online, and that's been a wonderful development. We want to have this function as a face to face thing, so that we can all reconnect, shake hands, say hello. So there's a whole range of objectives for this night, and we're really excited about doing it.
I think then the other part of that is that you grow to a different part. You and I, when we were discussing doing this show on Monday, the first thing you and I discussed was Zarem breaking the $150,000 mark and 11 race wins, and how good that is for a mutual friend in Paul Graydon. You do have shares in horses with Paul. I know I've known Paul through the Bendigo Harness Racing Club for many moons, and then you get Carla and Dean. So a little horse winning a race at Maryborough, you sort of create that bit of excitement. Yeah, it's not the same excitement as the Eureka, but it is that bit of fun and that bit of excitement that you can start a conversation off on the phone, and then of course you can start talking serious. Not that you and I talk serious, but you know what I mean, don't you?
Absolutely. Zaram was a horse that Paul and I bred.
Oh, you did breed him. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay. It's Paul is down as the official breeder, but that's only because we didn't have the paperwork done at the time of conception. I certainly was owned the foal, him as a foal when he was born. We sold him at the yearling sales. Dean and Carla have ended up with him from a late 2-year-old. They are long-time friends of mine. I've known Dean for over 30 years. I sit back and watch the job that the two of them have done with this wonderful little horse, and I know they are proud of their achievements, and so they should be. And to see him round them up 5 wide the other day, break the $150,000 barrier, I was so pleased for them. It really brought a smile to my face. And, and yes, for Paul, I mean, he's been, one of the great stalwarts of breeding in this state, and especially of the trotter. Was breeding trotters when it was not fashionable to do so. Has had some great horses, and so to see him get that recognition as well, brought a smile to my face.
Yep, absolutely, and it is a lot of fun. I think it was the Echuca Cup. The smile on Carla's face that night when he won the Echuca Cup was something to. Anyway, we digress, and you and I have a bad habit of that. Anthony Portelli. Before we get on, we'll get on to some HBV news as well, but we want to make sure that people are aware of the Breed to Succeed. But could I ask Nick if they are still putting a cap on stallions, how many they can breed, and what about the tax on service fees? I don't know how many of those you can answer, Nick, but I'll fire the question at you. You can work out which ones of those you can and can't answer, mate.
Well, the short answer is for Anthony is yes, full stop. There is still the cap on services in any given year at 150 minus 3 returns, and the tax on service fees for pacing for imported pacing stallions. It doesn't apply to the trotters, and it doesn't apply to stallions that are based here. It applies to frozen and shuttle stallions. Yes, that will apply. And in fact, if you have a look at the way that some of the studs advertise their service fees, you can often work out whether the tax applies or not. But of course, probably the simplest way to deal with that is to talk to the stud representative of the stallion you're picking out. But Anthony, if you're breeding trotters, you don't have to worry about it. If you're breeding paces, then some have the tax, some do not. All of them have the limit, so if you haven't made your mind up, you'll find that some of them may well have already been booked out. But I'm sure at this point in time you should still have a wide choice.
I'm going to throw you under the bus, and you might tell me off for this one, you may not. Does American Ideal serving, and I'm only using him because he's one of the stallions that's been offered up, but serving back to New Zealand. So in Australia, he's capped at 150, including free returns, but he can serve, it's unlimited books in New Zealand, but we'll just say 100. He can serve another 100 horses in New Zealand?
Yeah, he can serve. New Zealand doesn't have limits. So some of the stallions will do 150 or close to it here. and then do similar numbers over in New Zealand. They can do more. There's no limits over there, but so American Ideal will serve a number of mares back into New Zealand as well. That's right.
Yep, and then the frozen Siemens are a little bit different, aren't they? Because of the fact of quarantine rules. It's not as matter of just grabbing a straw and throwing it on a plane and sending it over there. So there's that reason that sometimes there'd be funny numbers on frozen semen trotting stallions, especially in two different jurisdictions. They are a little bit different. Is that right?
Yeah, and I think that comes down to some of the commercial relationships. Sometimes there is ample frozen semen available for a given stallion, and for others it's actually quite restricted, whether that's because of the horse's output or just the commercial decisions that are taken by the owners in the States or in Europe. So that can vary quite markedly depending upon the commercial arrangements that are set.
Yep, plenty of people watching. Toddy Matthews is sitting on there. John McAllister, John Wilson, Brett Hogan from Wagga. So make sure, especially the guys in Wagga, that the Breed to Succeed 4:30 Sunday it starts. Kath suggested maybe 7 o'clock it could finish, Nick, and around that time, anywhere from 2.5 hours, maybe 3 hours. So won't be a late day. August 20 at the Shepparton Harness Racing Club. To get involved, you can, and with the numbers, go to admin@nrequine.com.au, or you can also go to hbv.org.au, but the easiest way to do it is go to admin@nrequine, or contact them on the phone number that's there on the screen, 58522845, for all of that. And of course, as Nick said there, become a member and you can go into the draw to win a service fee to Pastor Stephen, American Ideal or Vincent on the night, but you need to be a member. What's the membership fee, Nick?
$55, not a great deal. We've kept it very affordable.
If I was any good at my job, I would have had a big 55 flash up across the screen, but didn't have that one ready. Rightio. You're also president of HBV. Well, you are president of HBV, hence the reason we've got you there. But there's a few other things going on. Firstly, Breeders' Week with SEN Track. We'll come around pretty quickly. It's basically the end Monday week. It'll be on SEN 7th through to 11. For people who can't get SEN, you can listen to the podcasts. I listen to them from time to time through Spotify, but I think you can get them on just about anywhere, Nick.
Yes, and certainly depending on how people like to source their info, if they follow us on social media, Desiree will be tweeting out or putting on Facebook links to all of the interviews. They'll probably also be, I would expect, on our website. So there'll be different ways for people to consume those interviews. Jess Tubbs working with Toby McKinnon and the SEN track team. When Jess isn't training international superstars, she's busy organising Breeders' Week. She does a wonderful job. It's been a pleasure to do this for the last couple of years. I think that people get a lot out of it, some really good interviews, both with local people, but also we try and get an international flavour as well. And Jess is trying to use her international connections into Europe and America to get a couple of international guests to add to the Australasian flavour. You'd
be probably naive to think that there might be a Swedish feel coming to this episode, and rightfully so, because I mean she would have made some enormous contacts. So potentially someone that might never have been on the radar to have an interview with would be on the radar now.
Absolutely. So I think that's definitely what she's aiming for. I can't say with full confidence right at this minute as to exactly what the lineup is. It's still being settled, but nonetheless, you can look forward to some excellent interviews. We just know there'll be something of interest for everybody.
No, absolutely. The Stallion Guide will be out shortly, Nick. I did ring Desiree, didn't get an answer. Right.
No, that's right. No, the online version, I believe, will be out on round about the 1st of August, and the hard copies should be in people's letterboxes within about a week after that. So early August, we'll loosely call it, is when people should be getting the Stallion Guide, going through the very final throws at the moment. I know that for a fact because I just had to proofread a couple of last-minute items to today. So the print is about to be pushed. So look forward to that. Perfect timing as we hit off the top. The weather's getting better. The sun's out, and that means breeding time.
It is a frustration for a lot of people. Someone will come in, like I'll come on and say mine came on whatever day, and people don't get theirs. The post is not what it used to be, so you just got to be a little bit patient from time to time. That's fair, isn't it, Nick?
Yes, that is true.
It happens with the yearling sale catalogues, and quite regularly I get catalogue boxes. My friends in New Zealand, I'd have been to New Zealand, been to their sales. I come home and a week later that they arrive. So just be patient, and they will come. So that's the best way. Anthony Portelli, I understand why they are capping the stallions, but I think it's not working because people are booking 2 years ahead of the stallions that they want to, and I suppose that's probably true, Nick. I've got a couple of others coming in here as well, but it's I suppose there's a bit more behind the scenes that goes in with that as well.
Yeah, look, HBV have been on the record as we were never not a fan of the service fee caps. They're in place. I think that probably does happen. I don't know what the stud policies are on taking bookings, so I can only take what you say on your word. Yeah, we're not a big fan of it. However, we all have to work with it. One of the biggest issues for the studs is working out how many free returns they're going to have to deal with each year, and then with the bookings, that becomes an administrative nightmare for them. And I know it causes Brett and Kath, for example, to tear their hair out. So Brett doesn't have much hair to tear out anymore.
I'm glad you didn't mention my name in that because, we won't. No, I'll just leave that one way alone. Alex Hurley, SEN track is 15:93 a.m. I reckon you're about on the border of where you can hear it from, though, Alex, but that's okay. The SEN app for smartphones where you can listen. You can listen live or to the podcasts. So that is with the SEN app, I would imagine, through all good apps. What do they say? All good app stores and the likes. Matthew Cooper, just be careful, Nick. I haven't proofread any of these. G'day, CC. With a love of the sport, I have invested as much as I can into my mares. Things are exciting at the moment, and breeding horses really gets the heart pumping. Everyone should be breeding a mare on your bucket list. Give it a go. Well, I didn't proofread that one, and that's a great one to have. And he's exactly right, though, isn't it? It's the expectations of what these horses are going to be able to achieve.
Matthew is my new best friend with that note. I couldn't agree more. Matthew, you're on the money. We all love it. And with your enthusiasm, if you can get that spread to a few other people, get them on board with you. I love it. Well done. Thanks for your contribution, and hope you have a great breeding season.
I'll say that the thing about it is once they're bred too, that's not it. It's not all over. I interviewed Neville Pangrazio 2 weeks ago on Talking Trotters, and the main reason was because a little horse that I won with at Stall called Pang is named after Neville. So I thought, well, I'll get him on and promote. They do a great job. The Pangrazios come out since and won the Maryborough Oaks on Monday just gone. So I think well done to them for that. But we actually was speaking about Neville named a horse out of Gloriodon called Paulie, and named after me. I named one after him. He named one after me. And there was this little bit of banter. Now, our horse won a couple of races. Paulie hadn't hit the racetrack by that stage. He won just prior to me going live on Loose Lines a week ago at Bendigo. So Luke Ralph owns him, Joanne Franklin trains him, yet Neville and I are having this great text message exchange about how bloody good it is, and it's a horse neither of us now have any association with. It's just purely off the fact of breeding and getting along to these seminars and things like that, and just talking with like-minded people. It's just a lot of fun.
Look, it is. I mean, we can come back to Zaram. I love watching him race and win for those reasons. I get nothing directly out of it, other than just the sheer pleasure of watching him do the job for Dean and Carla. And I think, to a degree, I think most breeders would feel the same way, that you watch your babies, whether you've sold them or whatever, almost like they're your children. I mean, I follow mine that I've bred that are racing in various places around the country, and I try and watch as many of their races live as I can, if not catch the replays, just to see how they're going. So it's one of the great intangibles about breeding, and a thing that gives me a bit of a kick along, as I'm sure it does many other breeders.
What's the best horse you've bred, Nick? Sorry to throw you. Probably I'll give you a couple of minutes to think. Or not minutes, but I'll give you a little bit of think time. But what would be the best horse that you've bred?
I would probably have to say Utopia, based upon what he's achieved out of Gluteus Maximus. Won a couple of Group 3 races, was highly talented, but I'm hopeful that he might be surpassed by Aureus, pacing filly that's now 3, that perhaps she can have a little bit of success. She's certainly got some talent. But in terms of dollars won, and Zarum is the highest stakes winning horse that I've had something to do with. So haven't had any superstars, but I've been fortunate to breed some very nice horses that have won their share of races.
I think it's an important answer that you gave, and I didn't know the answer to that, Nick. But we're not in the league of the Karlofelds at the minute with Leap to Fame and the other horse, Swazi, and those and the other horse out of the mare's had 3 to the races that are all 3 superstars. It doesn't matter, does it? If you haven't bred that superstar, I think you keep aiming to try and do that.
Oh, absolutely. It's and I'm sure that when you bred your first, you then want to go on and do it again. It's the whole thing's intoxicating, but getting group winners is what we're all aiming for. So I keep on trying.
Let us reason, and I did cheat. I got the computer up, and I'm going to tell you the other horse that's out of that family. It's just Maximus Red. So yeah, she'd had 4 foals of who were named and hit the races. 3 of those have raced, and the worst one is Swayze, who's won 15 races out of 42, if you can say that, and $370,000 in stakes. So well done to those guys. But I'm tipping they've got a lot of hard luck stories, but I think they're great stories in itself. But even that race, I think that was one of the great things with the Blacks Are Fake, Nick. There was 2 lots of brothers in that. The second ones probably didn't get the kudos as what Let Us Reason did, but it was the mother of Blacks Are Dance and Big Wheels, who Big Wheels ran last, but Washington's last. So John Paulson, and I think I was told one night of the carnival had 3 siblings out of that family all race, which is quite unique in itself.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's so rare, and what occurred on Saturday night with Catch a Wave and Leap to Fame being beaten in the respective feature races by their brothers, the chances of that ever happening again, I think, are just about 0. It was quite an astounding outcome.
It's one of those ones that hasn't been brought up by a lot of people, isn't it? It's a bit of an oddity, I think. But yeah, and both the older brothers that beat them, like it's it's not like the aging champ has been run down by the younger one coming through. It's a complete opposite. The old boys have said catch up.
No, I mean, it's rare that siblings would appear in the same race, let alone in the fast class events, let alone on the same night. So I think that was something that we will be unlikely to see ever again.
Yeah.
But who knows? Probably happen this weekend.
Six siblings took part in the fast class races on Saturday night that we know of. We'll probably get corrected. There's probably someone else as well. Brad Steele, Paul Pierce, Tracy Scoble are all on there. Darcy's Fireball, Nick, a horse that you did breed, hasn't yet hit the winner's circle, but keeps getting better and better.
Yes, he's also out of Gluteus Maximus, so makes him a half to Utopia, and also Derriere, or a full brother to Derriere. And Kai Valley Shawnee won a few. Yeah, Darcy has taken a little while. The ability is there. I think that people are seeing that with what he can do, but it's taking a while for the penny to drop for him to work out what racing is all about. But Greg and Jess have done, and their team have done a wonderful job. Amy Tubbs as well, been heavily involved, getting him to the point now that he is becoming a racehorse. And just thought for a moment that he might run past them there on Saturday night, but the winner was a bit good. But we're absolutely thrilled with what he's doing, and we think that he's got a good future. As he's gradually working out what racing is all about.
Duncan McPherson got up and beat you. He doesn't need to be beaten you, does he? He could have opted for second. You would have been very, very happy, but that's okay. Right.
It's good to see young up-and-comers such as Duncan McPherson finally getting some success. That's all I can say.
I haven't got one of his red hats. The problem with wearing headphones is I don't have red hats. His hats, anyway.
I can see one behind you.
Yeah, that's it. The other side, about there. So, yeah, it's there. But I did have one somewhere else. I throw things on the ground and the girls tell me off, Nick. You'd find that hard to believe that I get told off for things. And I nearly hung up on you. And I don't want to hang up on you just yet because Hambo Day is the other one we do want to highlight. It's a little way off, Nick, but a really important part of harness racing, especially here in Victoria, for the Vicbred horses. The 22nd of December at Maryborough, it'll be Hambotonian Day. Horses that haven't won a race, $10,000 on all races, which is super, super exciting.
It is. We love Hambletonian Day. There are always great stories that come out of it. It's the All Maiden Day. I'm sure people are aware of it. Just before Christmas this year, right at the end of the season, great opportunity for some people to pay for the Christmas presents a few days out. Thanks to Maryborough, the VSTA get involved as well. HRV with the elevated stakes, the first win bonuses. I love going to that day whenever I can get there because the smiles on the owners and the connections faces as they walk away with some very substantial checks is just worth it. So we love it. We continue to put our support behind that day. And anyone who's got a maiden, if you haven't won come the end of the season, that's the race day that you should be aiming at, especially if you're Vicbred. And
anyone thinking, we'll just put one away and save it for that day, correct me if I'm wrong, but preference is given that it's almost the longer your losing streak, the more easier it is for you to get a run. Is that the way it works, Nick? Or does it still work that way? Hopefully it does.
Yeah, yes, it does. That's the principle. I mean, ultimately, because there are so many divisions, not every division ends up with bucket loads of nominations. But yes, that is right. So if you haven't had a start and you are taking luck into your own hands, because if you're the 15th nominated and there are 15 or 14 more that have had more starts, you won't get a run. So there are some special conditions that give everyone that chance to win that race with some really nice prize money.
Yeah, and I was fortunate enough, it was, I think, the first year of COVID, I was able to work it, and you guys were there, and there was a couple of really good stories. Paula, I forgot Paula's surname, but a horse that was saved basically from the knackery. I think it had about 25 starts and things like that. There's some really, really good stories on that day.
I love it. And so, hopefully we've got a nice warm day just before Christmas. People might have, finished up with their Christmas break. They can get up there and enjoy the racing.
Nick, thank you. I'll catch up with you at Breed to Succeed. It won't be live streamed. Anyone thinking I will just sit at home and watch it on August 20, it will not be live streamed. Get in touch with Melvin Rivers Equine, so nrequine.com.au, 58522845, or anyone from Harness Breeders. Get in touch with any of your studs, to be honest, Nick. Most of those will know how to get in touch. So if you're not sure, ring up the stud that you talk to a lot, and they should be able to steer you in the right direction to get there. hbv.org.au, that is ORG .au, to get in touch and get there. 4:30 like Kath said, roughly she thinks 2.5 hours, so 7 o'clock. Trade displays will be there with all of these, or not all of these guys might not have trade displays, but these people will all be there and be represented. I'm not going to go through them all, but we want people to get there, and you got the opportunity to win a service fee if you're a member of HBV, $55, and you go into the draw to win a service fee to Pastor Stephen, American Ideal, or Vincent. And I don't know if Brett's still watching or not, but Vincent had a beautiful winner at Charlton just last week. Only went a lazy 155 on his head on his chest around Charlton. So I mean, that's a very, very good opportunity for anyone to get a quality service fee, Nick.
Yeah, very much so. I think you made a very good point a minute or two ago. This is not live stream. If you have to get off the couch and come and join us. And if you do, and if you're travelling a bit of distance, we have some corporate accommodation deals in Shepparton. Again, go to our website for details. That will get you some slightly cheaper accommodation from a couple of providers in Shepparton. I mean, we're trying to run it at a time so that people can get there and get home all in the one go. But if you're coming from slightly further afield and wish to stay, we're looking after you there with some good quality accommodation locally.
Absolutely. It's quite funny, terms of endearment, Nick. I just looked at my YouTube page and we've got Mark Hughes says, "Evening, Paulie." I get from Brett, just still here, Paul. I don't think I get quite the same love from Brett as I do from Mark. But anyway, I digress. Barb Sedgwick, who is Nellie Melba on Facebook, she says, "Love the creative naming of Gluteus Maximus." I can go one step further onto that for you, Barb, and say that her stable name was Betty. And probably best. Well, she's no longer with us now, and I don't think Paul would mind me saying. But Aunt Betty,
Gluteus Maximus is still alive.
Not the Auntie Betty though, isn't? Not who she was named after, I don't think.
Oh, sorry, no. Well, yes, that's right.
And she may have had a large posterior, so hence the reason that's how she got the name. So the stable name was actually Betty. So yeah, it's just one of those random things that I do remember. So going from there. Yahoo was that horse's name, and he should be going around in the nutrient heats next week. Brett Coffey, keep on the line because we'll have Mark Barton, I think, anyway, as long as I can get him in between towns. Just recapping on a few of those things. I had an audio issue last week. I just have issues all the time, and no comments there. Thank you, Nick. Brad Steele has said there, Vincent doing an outstanding job at stud. Joe Pace, special conditions in Vic Sire Stakes, who competing in the Eureka. I reckon I'll leave that one, Joe, just for the time being. But maybe I'm actually going to catch up with Joe on the weekend doing a Barrostock Dash. So we might just let that one slide for the minute, I think, Nick.
No worries.
You didn't want to comment on it?
Oh, no. Well, I mean, I think what Joe's saying is that the conditions of the Vicbred have been altered so that horses that compete in the Eureka are exempt from running the need to run in a heat of the Vicbred, and they are deemed as qualifiers for the semi-finals. I'm not sure exactly when that came in, and there'll be differing views on the merits or otherwise of that change, but it's something that now, if people read the Vicbred conditions on the website, they will see that that is now in effect. So there'll be some people who might be disappointed with that change. There'll be some people who will be pleased with that change. Yes, it's certainly interesting. I don't think there's been an announcement from HRV. Maybe they're planning one, but yes, it's something that people are becoming aware of.
Yeah, absolutely. So once we get a bit more information, we will go on there. I don't want to be a fence sitter. Sometimes I just have to be. So thank you, Nick, for getting in with that one. Darren Clayton's on. What a great man he is. Came on the show last week and spoke for me. Nick, thank you. As we said, one more, August 20. Make sure you get in touch with nrequine.com.au, hbv.org.au, or ring any of your studs. Get in touch with them all. And well done to the stallion sponsors, which are Northern Rivers, Lower Long Farms. Sorry, I'll get into trouble there. Lower Long Farms, Alabar, and Woodlands for donating those service fees, which is just tremendous. And there'll be other prizes on the night as well. So, mate, thank you. Go and enjoy Mum's cooking. I really appreciate you coming on and giving me a bit of time and people getting in it. Nella Barb Sedgwick says, built for comfort, not for speed. That's my saying too. I stick to that one as well. So thank you very much for coming on, mate. Really appreciate it. And we'll continue to do some more. We'll probably do a few more catch-ups through the breeding season as well, mate. But thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you for having me on. Look forward to seeing you at Breed to Succeed, and look forward to seeing all of our members there as well. And have a good night.
Yep, make sure you remember $55. Thank you very much, Nick. Might get you to hang up, mate, because I know I can do it. That's all good. Thank you very much, mate.
Cheers. See ya.
So Nick Hooper joining me there from HBV with some pretty important announcements there in regards to the Breed to Succeed on August 20. So we want people to be aware of that. Of course, they had a great association with Breed to Succeed through COVID. We had a lot of fun. Brett Coffey, Nick Hooper were very much regulars, and it was good fun. We probably should do a catch up every now and then, and do some random ones as well going along there. I've got a video to show you. I still got my Woodlands hat on, so I might actually do that one there. This is a horse called My Show. Now, he's actually 3 back the fence here. Just want to showcase, he's a son of Sweet Lou, this horse here, but they pace a world record in 1:47.4 around a 5/8 track here. That's him getting to second. Sweet Lou's doing some amazing jobs. He's got Confederate, who won the Meadowlands Pace last week, and then this horse has come out this weekend in a heat and gone 47-4. Lou's getting the job done right across the ditch. So great supporters of mine, and I want to make sure people can actually see that. You can see he found the line really, really well. Some good racing in America right at the minute as we speak. So there is plenty going on there. We've got Ben Stud on the line, but as I said, always got to say thank you to the guys at Woodlands, woodlandstud.co.nz. Big news today with Love Me Too and coming across for the Derbies, which is exciting for Victorian racing, full stop, that we're going to have the NZB Millions winner. So we've already won, I don't know if it's a group race. Cambrai, if you're on, I'm not sure if it is a group race or listed race. Yep, but anyway, CC Contracting is on there. That is not me. That's about the only CC I don't have sewn up. Not sure, but anyway, it was a very well credentialed race. And then also he won the Northern Derby back when I was over there for the Rowe Cup. He's a super horse, and he's coming out here to contest our Derby in late October, which is on Redwood Day. So for the trotting purists, it's going to be a great time of the year going on there. And of course, What the Hill's part of the not huge roster, but the roster for Woodland Stud down by the seaside. Lather Up, Better's Delight, Sweet Lou, American Ideal, and Speeding Spur, but the Fab Five are there, as Hughesy likes to call them. So get in touch with the guys at Woodlands, as I said, woodlandstud.co.nz. Rightio, I'm going to try and see if we can get Mark Barton on the phone. It's just going to depend on where he actually was as to whether or not I can actually get him. Quite often he'll send me a text message back, but I don't think he's going to.
Hello.
Mark Barton, thank you very much for joining me on Loose Lines, mate.
No, good on you, mate. Good to have a chat again.
It is good to chat. I'm going to have to move that logo, but that's okay. Which part of the world do we find you in at the minute, mate?
Mate, I'm going through the main street of Young in New South Wales. It's 9 degrees in Young. It's been over to Forbes and Bathurst today and then back through.
The weather is turning, though. There's no problems there. You can see spring is in the air, and there's a lot of good spring in the step, if you like, with a lot of people, mate.
Mate, yeah, look, I guess looking at around home, which is actually a tiny bit earlier than normal, the canola's just starting to come out in the Riverina and all the southwest slopes just now. So it's good, and I think, yeah, we've had 4 or 5 ripping days, but some pretty good frost before we get warmed up. But it's nice in our part of the world. We've got just enough moisture, and the cattle drop kicked 40 cents yesterday in Wodonga, so we're going better.
always got to be positive. Rightio, I had you on last week. I had a bottle of water sitting against a microphone lead. Anyone wondering why the audio was so bad, I do apologise for that. But we want to reiterate, I suppose, the Nutrien races, when they're coming up, the incentives. There's a few things there that we want to make sure people are across and are aware of. Firstly, the Nutrien race dates. They're here next week, Bardo. They start Tuesday in Menangle, Bendigo,
Yes,
Wednesday,
mate, yeah.
Bendigo Wednesday night, and then back to Kilmore on the Thursday night with the Trotters.
Yeah, that's it, mate. That's exciting next week. I think Normans, I think they close probably tomorrow, I reckon, in New South Wales and Victoria.
Yep.
But we've got, the paces we're looking at, providing heats for the paces in New South Wales as well. But it's exciting for us, mate. There's a lot of, particularly the 3-year-olds that are well known. But I know. Yeah, you look at a couple of the rising superstars. Probably the New South Wales one. Yeah, Lux Turner, probably the 2-year-old filly, has had I think she won a pink bonnet and Bathurst. So she's probably the one that everyone in the New South Wales colours are talking about.
Yeah, and I've been fortunate enough to see her firsthand, and she's a beautiful filly, and the people behind her have a bit of good fun. Actually, just on that horse there, Ricky Alchin drove his 500th winner yesterday, so congratulations to Ricky. So,
Good on him.
He's a good man, Ricky. He's a bit of fun to actually to be around.
Oh, look, he's been a great supporter of Nutrien since we've been in it. Our first sale, our first ready to run, I reckon he put around 7 or 8 horses for us, and he's been very helpful. All the Alchin boys have been great helpers, actually.
And one of those horses is Let Us Trot, who is still winning races and doing a great job for Nathan Jack's got him now.
Yeah, and I guess you go back another step and look at who owned those or who bred them. Let Us Trot again comes out of that Carlefeld stable, and we've got, he must nearly still be one of the favourites for the Eureka, wouldn't he? A Carlefeld bred horse in Queensland.
Yep, Leap to Fame. Yep, so
Leap to Fame, yeah, and then they've obviously bred the full brother as well that won last week. But they've had some good success, but it's a good time on the back of the Queensland Carnival, and it sort of rolls on into our races. Really looking forward to the 11th at Bendigo for our finals, and like we said last week, you roll round in sort of just under 7 months. We're back to Melton with it's $2.2 million in prize money over the 7 months.
Absolutely. So that is, we want to make sure people are aware of these for a start. That Melbourne in April, and the weekend that will be. It won't be a week. It actually won't be a weekend really, because it'll be pretty much a week to 10 days towards the end of the sales year. But it's going to be a lot of fun. You said 13, 14, 15. Is that the 3 dates?
Yeah. Well, it's Saturday, Sundays are 13, 14.
Yep.
And we'll sell again we'll sell also on the Friday night if that's what numbers dictate to us. So we're looking at certainly the finals of the racing on the Saturday 13th, and Saturday Sundays at 14th, and we go back to the Friday the 12th if we need the extra numbers.
Now 1.25 million will be on offer on that night at Bendigo. At Melton. Is it Melton or Bendigo?
Melton. Bendigo this year, mate, and Melton next year. So going back to headquarters at the request of HRV, they've got planned to try and help us with the whole weekend, and that was one of the things they think they can best promote the races and promote the weekend through with the Melton Club.
But a little bit of clarity, I suppose, for some people, Bardo, is that it is not a locked-in deal that it'll be in Melbourne forever and a day. That is one thing I suppose we need to get the message out there, because some people think that you're only going to be a Melbourne sales company.
No, definitely, mate. Look, it's we've got obviously Sunshine Stars with the horses we sold in Brisbane. They'll race in August. We'd like to think we can do something even in 2024. We'd love to come up with something else in New South Wales around our sale race horses, and it's a 2024 deal at this stage. Matt Isaacson, the CEO of Harness Racing Victoria, he's new in the job, and we both said, look, let's do this year and let's review it. I'm very mindful that between Bathurst and Sydney, the turnover or the market that we represented last year is nearly equal between Sydney and New South Wales and Victoria. They're both around the same turnover, so we've got to be mindful. And look, I think the April race in Melbourne allows the Bathurst horses those horses to trial again in Sydney and then come down to Victoria for our April final next year too.
Yep, no, I think that's important. And then you mentioned there before about Queensland. There's a few changes potentially to Queensland next year, I suppose, where it'll be hosted, but also the commitment is still with the guys at the Sunshine Stars to continue to grow that product.
Yeah, look, Racing Queensland, Albion Park, the guys at the Creek, they've committed to the same prize pool as last year, which was paces 125,000 for 2-year-old pacing fillies and pacing colts. Then they'll roll on again. The Sunshine Stars race for 100,000 as 3-year-olds. They'll have a $25,000 trotting filly for 2-year-olds and a $25,000 trotting colt or gelding for 2-year-olds. And if that race didn't stand up with noms, they would combine that into a $50,000 mixed set. So that's what they'll offer. Any horse sold through that sale next year in Albion Park, it'll be at their the racetrack again. It'll be a one-day sale on Sunday, the 11th of February. If you pay up for nutrient, it effectively means that those babies are going to chase $300,000+ as 2-year-olds, the paces, and the Sunshine Star pacing 3-year-olds will chase no less than another 200. So if you buy a horse out of that market, it gives you $500,000 worth of incentives.
Yep, which is important to note and important for people to be aware of. And you don't have to be a part of Queensland to sell at the Sunshine Stars. There were some guys from New South Wales did it last year. I don't think we had plenty of Victorians up there, but I don't think we had any Victorian sellers up there except for Ben Stud. But you could sort of say New South Wales. But there is also that opportunity for people to say, well, hang on, we could try chance our arm, because they're doing some great things in Queensland with stake money and what they are doing with race incentives. So it is, think outside the square sometimes. There is always other options, isn't there?
Well, look, I think they announced on the weekend, you'd have no doubt been across that already, that the club announced this extra $500,000 slot race in Queensland. So that's open to anyone to nominate for, I believe, as well. So you've got they've got the Racing Queensland machines behind Albion Park, and they're a terrific club. And I think I said last year it was great to work with a progressive and proactive group in Queensland. We look forward to doing a better job again next year. It was a tougher series of sales last year, but I think numbers, generally speaking, are going to be the buyers won't have quite as much to choose from just in the natural numbers that'll be on offer, I reckon, in 2024.
Yep, absolutely. I think they're doing great jobs. Matty Cooper, I'll get to yours in a second, but Brad Steele's come in. I'm sure we'll see some of the 2023 Nutrien yearlings in the 2024 $500,000 Ladbrokes Proto Star. It's an open 2-year-old next Constellations. That's the slot race that was announced. So exactly that. They also have the opportunity to race in some ripping races up there in Queensland.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, and like I say, if Brad's there, I think again it was a record patronage for their program over this last month. Their carnival was terrific roll up, and I think fantastic racing. We're heading up there on the 19th of series to watch them go round, and it's a great club and a great atmosphere, and fantastic horses coming out of it.
He sent some photos through about the crowds that they had there, and it's terrific. Matthew Cooper Bardo has said, what about Tassie, Mark? Can we combine with Victoria maybe? Oh, okay. Sorry, I only read the first part. I was thinking, he wants you to sell in Tassie. Can we combine with Victoria maybe? I suppose there's a few other things that have got to go under the bridge there first, so Bardo, with that to happen.
Look, I've had not a lot, but I've had some dialogue with harness racing in Tasmania, and actually catching up with a few people from Tassie again next week, just to explore what the state's up to, and the same thing which I really encourage, if we can from a commercial or a sales point of view bring something constructive to the state of Tasmania. I don't know what that looks like, but I'm really certainly keen, and I have got a meeting in the book, but I couldn't tell you what day exactly now. But I am definitely meeting with some people from harness racing in Tasmania this week on a Zoom conference to talk about what we can do, moving forward.
One of the things where Matty might get confused too is it is actually sold as a nutrient sale, but it's not. It's a nutrient store in Tasmania. It's not the same as here in the mainland. It's a little bit differently, Matthew. So just so you're aware, albeit that it is sold by guys who work for Nutrien, it's a little bit differently the way that that's set up. I've been fortunate enough to be across there. It's a lot of fun. Hopefully this year they can set a date where I can get back there. I think we were in Queensland last year when the same sale was on. So hopefully everyone can get together and I can get back across there because they're very passionate. And it would be good to have them part of a big race series. I think that'd be something exciting. But a lot of water to go under the bridge there for you, Bardo, first.
Look, the little bit I understand about Tassie, I think if the race value for your youngsters, for your 2-year-old racing, is it right? $15,000 minimum race pool, I think, for Tasmanian 2-year-olds. Like there's some good things happening in Tasmania,
and some great incentives with the breeders as well. Getting you get cash basically when your foal hits the ground, and then when they win a race, and it's really, really exciting what they actually do over there. So I think hats off to those guys. I'll catch up with someone. Might catch up with someone one day in a little bit of a quieter time. First time ever a Queensland harness race turned over $1 million. That was from Brad from last week. So they're definitely on the right foot. They're having a lot of fun. I know Pat Driscoll and Louise Toolman were up there, and we'll speak about the Trotters in a sec, but they were up there and they were blown away, not only by the hospitality, but just the atmosphere that was on up there. And bit of truth in the matter, Bardo, just so that you and I are on the same page, that Brad Steele shouted them out to tee. I haven't seen him shout me. I don't think he shouted you out either, so we just might hold that one to him.
I'll be careful there. Brad's been very, very supportive of me. I think I've had a beer and a feed that Brad might have picked up at that time. But I'll stand at a different corner to you. Obviously, you haven't heard the same stripes yet, mate. That's all that'll be.
Well, I'll keep putting it out there. He is the king of bad shirts. Don't worry about that. I've still got this one on file for you, Bradley. So don't worry one bit about that. Trotters, Bardo, Sorry.
I was going to say, if you or Brad want to come and join us on the 11th at Bendigo, we'd love to show a little bit of hospitality at the finals of the Bendigo Club. So I'm sure we'll, if you're thirsty or want to feed, then we'll try and throw a few things at your at anyone. But that is an open invitation. And if people can get to those finals, we want to be inclusive. We'll have something set up there to any of the patrons there. We can hopefully enjoy a beer and enjoy some good racing.
Yeah, absolutely. Bad line. I know what he's on about. In other words, he can't hear me. I was thinking, what's he on about there? But that's okay. We've got plenty of people watching. The Trotters go to Kilmore on the Thursday. So, as I said, the first is at Menangle, second at Bendigo with the heats, and then we go to Kilmore with the Trotters. Exciting to see the Trotters. Great support from Harasta Trotters, Bardo, and their continued support with Nutrien. And it's going to be cool to see them playing at home this year. They didn't get to play at home last year. We were in Sydney. So I'm sure the team there will be excited. I did notice that Anton Galino trialled two 2-year-olds at Bendigo the other night. I know there's a few Trotters just sneaking around at the trials, mate, getting ready for this race series.
Yeah, look, I've been in touch with a few people that we've updated our list so that people can see what horses are eligible for these races. But it'll be good for me. I haven't been to the Kilmore track, so I'm happy that I'm looking forward to that. The other thing, it's not that far, I don't reckon, from Kyneton, where my son lives, so I might be able to get a bed for not too much cost too, mate, on Thursday.
So here is the naive New South Welshman. You're going to Kilmore Trots and you're going to thaw out by staying in Kyneton, mate. I tell you, you're in for an experience next week. I will say that. And there'll be a lot of people grinning at that one. Jack Butler's on there because he bought horses last year from the sales. Yeah, you need more than this truckie's cap when you go to Kilmore, mate. But that's okay. I think it'll be a great night and be a lot of fun.
No, it should be, mate. And look, I think that's it. It's good to see the Trotters go around in Victoria. It's really the heartland of the Trotter in Australia at this point. But I think we've got a lot of capable horses when you actually go through what horses are potentially up for these heats next week. You're looking forward to that, and really looking forward to a great final. And it's serious coin for that 3-year-old, 125,000 for the 3-year-old fillies and the 3-year-old colt. So it's serious money, and it's a great event.
Brad Steele showing his age, the Red Lion. I'm not sure if it's the same Red Lion as what it used to be, Bradley, but that's okay. And Alex Hurley, she's in the middle of those two, not quite in the middle geographically, but pretty close to it. And she's got 3 laughing faces and 3 frozen faces, Bardo. She knows exactly where I'm coming from with it. So
we talked about doing some new caps next year, and I did have a trainer from Victoria. She could be well advised to put maybe 100 nutrient beanies might be a better option next April for us. So I'll take that on board. We might be able to get a few branded beanies for next season.
There's a follically tested person at the other end of this microphone, mate. He won't be against that either. Don't worry about that. But that's okay. Bardo, thank you. That's the one thing. The catalogue is open now. Entries are open now for the catalogue for next year's sale. We want people to August 31st, and definitely have a good think too about it, as well as, like I said, with Queensland, also Bathurst, because Bathurst is it's an exciting. It was a lot of fun last year. It was good. So that's something.
The big one to remember about Bathurst, mate, is that you buy a horse at Bathurst and you want to pay it up for the nutrient incentives. You've got the ability to go to Bathurst now and pay up for nutrient in wherever it might be, whether that's Melbourne again in 25 or in Sydney. But it's a great sale. We saw terrific horses go around. I think the thing that I was surprised our first year just how many people used their first win bonuses, their vouchers in New South Wales to help secure a horse. And I remember watching some of those horses go around during the carnival, and someone said, "Oh, that was a $4,000 winner, $4,000 purchase at Bathurst," and that horse was the one the Oaks. It came out of Bathurst, and that horse won the Derby, came out of Bathurst. So there's some terrific horses that have been through that Bathurst farm.
Yep, the New South Wales Oaks and Derby winners both came out of that Bathurst sale, and I don't think, in fact, I know neither of them exceeded $10,000 in purchase price. So it is a great sale, and the other part, it's a lot of fun, very welcoming place as well, Bardo, which is really, really key. But that's a little way away. We just want to make sure people are aware of that. The race incentives, there's next 6 months here in Victoria. I'd better get my screen up because otherwise I'm going to say the wrong amount. It's not on that one. What is it?
2.2 million between our August and our April races over the next 7 months is what will change hands for 2 and 3 year olds, paces and trotters. So that's good. We're open till the 31st of August with our entries. Our program, we do that. Then that gives us a month here to get Alan Parker again to our pedigree pages, and I don't think anyone can do them better. We get them to the vendors, they prove those, and we have our catalogue live in October. But we wait for the Breeders' Crown results so we can update our print catalogue in November, and then we try and get it out around the 15th of December so we can have them dispatched and hopefully on people's coffee table before Christmas. That's the plan, right?
Yep, absolutely.
And it will be a standalone. Brad's online. We will be standalone catalogue for Brisbane this year because they'll be the 11th of February, so they've come forward back to a more traditional Queensland sale date. So we will make that a standalone catalogue so that those vendors, we can get them out well and truly 8 weeks, 10 weeks before the sale.
No, absolutely. If Brad is there, I might actually, if he sends me a thumbs up, I might give him a call, actually, just a recap on there. Jamie Lee King is watching, Craig Milne, and Bernie Ring from Redcliffe is actually sitting there watching as well. So I just might give Brad a quick call. We'll have a quick touch off on that. Any queries, anyone wanting to know anything, get in touch with Gemma Smallman. Her phone number is there. It's 0447356549, or you can ring Mark Barton 0419 488 256. Get in touch with those guys, or go to Nutrient. I knew I had to have one in the way. nutrienequine.com.au and follow the links there. There's plenty of people to get in touch with as well. But yep, make sure you ring the guys and have a good discussion about it. Bardo, thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate you coming on. I do apologise last week. Didn't realise it was a bottle of water against the microphone. Between that and Nick Hooper tonight, I didn't plug my headphones in. I couldn't work out why I couldn't hear him. I hung up on him 3 times and then realised I didn't have them plugged in. So, yeah. So
no, you've been gentle on me tonight, mate, so I appreciate that. But like always, mate, I think it's great. Your platform gets our message out to a lot of our breeder clients as well as a lot of the racing clients. So it's probably at the next stage for our business, but we're really evolving to start to see some of our graduates become recognised racing names now. So that's really exciting, and we look forward to helping anyone leading into these sales. We've already got some good steady entries rolling in, so it's already looking. I won't go saying names of horses yet or what's in there, but there's 2 or 3 really exciting horses I've already seen in the catalogue. So on the online catalogue. So we'll talk about that another day.
Absolutely. Diane Riley's on there, of course, from Queensland, a proud Queenslander as well. So I'll definitely get Brad on in a sec. He hasn't given me a thumb up or not. I'll just ring him. Campbell's comments, but I'll probably go live on Loose Lines is a Wednesday night show. There's every chance I'll go live from Bendigo. We'll have a bit of fun there on the track, depending on race scheduling and things along those lines. But Kath McIntosh, the vet, she also has got the Heidi George series will be on that night as well, so it's going to be a good night of racing. So on Loose Lines will be live. Where I'll set up and that we'll just wait and see, but we'll be live there, and we'll try and get some of the. Be nice if we get a couple of the winners of the heats, just get them to come on live and a bit of feedback as well, mate. But really appreciate you give me a yell, mate, and hopefully you haven't stopped driving because I know you got a little ways to go. But thank you very much, Bardo, and as always, hopefully you'll be back on the show next week, actually live from Bendigo, mate. So.
No, sounds good, Noel. I'm going past another client of yours and mine, Andrew Sheridan's place at Wollongong now, so I'm about an hour from home.
Yeah, is that service station opened up yet or not?
No, still building it.
It's the slowest. It's the slowest service station I've ever seen. 2 years so far.
No, they don't like putting 10 odd sheds in the winter. It seems, mate.
Absolutely. All right, mate. I'll let you go.
Talk to you again. See you, mate.
Thank you very much, Mark Barton, joining me there, talking all things nutrient, and we want to make sure that people, we're across all of those. There's some conflicting stories being set out there that the sales will be solely and completely in Victoria, but that's not the case. Not the case as yet. You never know what Victoria offer, or New South Wales or Queensland might offer. So so that is always one way to go. A couple of little highlights I wanted to highlight before. I will try Brad and see if we can get hold of him. He hasn't given me a yes or a no, so I'll just ring him. No, he just says, oh yeah, I know what that said, so that's okay. Should have said there before, the locomotive, Wayne Potter trains a locomotive. Looking forward to him starting next week at Kilmore. He will be on the 3rd. But Tasman Potter, Wayne's daughter, trained her first winner the other day. I think she's had 7 winners as a driver, and now she actually had her first winner as a trainer, and she drove that horse as well. So congratulations to you for that. Megan Coburn is watching as well. I think that's a Queenslander as well. And then Tristan Larson, Kirk Larson's son, drove his first winner today at Yarra Valley. He's driven 27 winners in New Zealand, but he notched up his first win today for Brent Lilly at Yarra Valley. So congratulations to Tristan there. Has got a Victorian connection, Michelle Parrish, I think it is. Yes, I'm pretty sure it's Michelle Parrish's son, Tristan. So congratulations to him on getting the chocolates, and hopefully I've got Brad on the phone. He did tell me he was ready to go. Well, he was good to go.
Yes.
Hello, Bradley. How are you, mate?
Hi, Paul. Great, thank you. 21 degrees, fantastic in Queensland at the moment.
Sorry, did you say it was a bad line? I can hang up. That's fine. There's not a hassle, not a hassle there at all. Firstly, mate, thank you for joining me. I really do
You're welcome.
appreciate it. And I also, in all seriousness, I appreciate everyone that gets involved in the shows, because the way social media works is the more you get involved, the more the page grows. So it makes a huge difference to me that people commenting, getting involved and commenting on certain things, it actually just continues to help it grow, as does people like Mark Barton and that coming on live with me as well. So I do really appreciate it. So it makes a world of difference and a little bit of fun. Dennis Howar's watching from Wagga, so he was probably listening to Bardo driving on his way home. Great man, Mataranka Farm. So good to have him on there as well. You'd be happy to know, Brad, I found that shirt that you were in last week. I don't actually mind that shirt. I just like hanging it on you, but that's okay. Queensland recap, I suppose, a wash up of the carnival, albeit that it's only just finished. I would imagine you probably haven't even sat down and really digested it. But overall, how was it?
Yeah, look, I think it was fantastic, Paul. And every year we try and lift it, and I think this year the feedback is that we have lifted again from last year. When you look at across the board, patronage on the night, all our hospitality were sold out for the last couple of nights. The racetrack attendance, particularly on Black the Fake night, was probably one of the largest crowds that we've seen at the Creek for a long, long time. Lots of new faces, lots of younger faces under 35 years of age, which is our target market. And just on that last night, over the 4 nights of the carnival, our wagering will be up year on year, but on the Black the Fake night, it's the first time ever in the history of Queensland Harness that we actually turned over $1 million on one race. So really, really good support from the punters and the public, and lots of visitors from Victoria, New South Wales and New Zealand, and a couple from Tasmania as well. So each year we're seeing more and more people come up from down south and across from the ditch, which really adds to the carnival.
It's possibly one of the challenges, getting everyone there at the one time. Just before, I'll come back to that question, Brad. I'll put it out there, but I'll come back to it. I would imagine getting all of the figures from TAB turnover. Well, I know here in Victoria, it's not something that the races run and won, and the TAB or Ladbrokes or whoever you're talking to can necessarily give you those figures. So that $1 million turnover on the Blacks of Fake itself, that could be a lot higher by the time they actually sit down. I would imagine they've seen it and they've said, this is past $1 million, but you won't know the full wash up for a week or two, I would imagine.
That's right. From across all the wagering providers, we know at an absolute minimum, as of today, it was 1.05 million. So there's probably still a little bit more rounding up to go on that. But as I said, it did pass that $1 million figure, which has never been achieved on a single Queensland race ever. And that includes, when we hosted Inter Dominions, and probably as most people would appreciate, wagering in this environment is a little bit flat.
Yep.
So to actually achieve those sort of numbers speaks a lot about the carnival. It speaks about the promotion that Racing Queensland and the club put in, and all the support that we got from our wagering partner in Ladbrokes as well. And it's all come together to deliver, probably a better result than many had forecast.
I'm not big on it. I try not to talk about the punt. I don't have anything wrong with the punt. I actually enjoy a punt myself as well, so don't worry about that. But I want us to think about trying to make a market outside of that as well as with that. But it's so important, and those figures are just so enlightening, and I'm sure a lot of states would be rapt to hear those. Maybe a little bit of jealousy, but also at the end of the day, probably just excitement of the fact that people still will bet on it if we can put the product out there in the right manner.
Yeah, absolutely, Paul. I think, reading through on social media, I think some of the things that we did this year, particularly in conjunction with Racing Queensland and others, has really worked for us. We've sort of bucked the tide a little bit. But as you keep saying, Paul, you can't keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So within the next month, we'll circle back and do a full review on our carnival and what we can, change next year. But other important metrics for us is the number of people we had through the gate, the food and bev takings. I mean, for example, on Black the Fake night, our cauldrons were completely stocked with refreshments, making sure everyone stayed hydrated. And we actually ran out sort of halfway through the night. We had to go and get another 30 cartons of refreshments. So, from all metrics, it was an outstanding result.
It's a great problem to have, and as long as a person waiting for the next beer wasn't waiting for the cartons to come in, that's a terrific result, because it definitely means that things are on the the right track going forward. Why do you get a great crowd to the Blacks Are Fake, but maybe not the Rising Sun or the other races going forward?
I think increased advertising, Paul, on the eve of the Blacks Are Fake Racing Queensland in conjunction with the Creek ran a 4-page spread in the Courier Mail, which I couldn't recall the last time that we did that. So I think that helped. I think the elevation and the anticipation of Leap to Fame as well, we really amped up the on-course promotion and the free giveaways post the Rising Sun. But what I would say is the turnover on the Rising Sun and the Harada Trotters Great Square was the highest uplift of any of the race nights year on year. So from, an interest perspective from wagering, the Rising Sun, the Great Square night outperformed every other race night.
That's good. Although
it is really good.
That was the first night of the Great Square, so people could say that. But that in itself is a bonus because you would have had another race on that night anyway. So you've brought a trotting race in, and it hasn't even plateaued. It's gone up. So it's
elevated.
Yeah.
Paul, our wagering on the Rising Sun, the Great Square night, was up 700,000 on the same meeting last year. It was by far the greatest increase of any of the nights of our constellations was the Rising Sun and the Great Square. And apart from having Leap to Fame in the Rising Sun, the thing that's changed is the Great Square.
Yep.
So we think the wagering on the Great Square was very strong. Hence why we got that uplift of 700,000.
I said there before about the crowds. We'll come back to the Great Square and the Trotters in a sec. But the crowds that you were able to, not the crowds, the participants that you're able to get. The joy I had 2 years ago, watching Ray Green bring out Copy That, American Dealer, and the other horse, I forget his name, but by Sir Lincoln. And these were sort of, Copy That was known, but at the time I don't think he'd won a New Zealand Cup. No, he hadn't. And American Dealer definitely wasn't a Derby horse and the likes. And these horses sort of came out of nowhere. Crandall Getty, Nathan Purdon were up there. You had this great mix of New Zealanders that came. You then got the next year you got Greg Sugars and the likes. This year, you only had to listen to Sky Channel the other night. The New South Welshmen were coming to the fore. How big a carnival, plus your locals, but how big a carnival would it be if you could manage to sort of get all of them there at once? It'd just be massive, wouldn't it?
I think that's the nirvana, Paul, that ultimately it will happen. This year, yes, we had the promise of quite a fair few Kiwis that are coming over, like Merlin, for example, was coming for the Rising Sun, but had a foot issue, and a few of the other better horses had plans to be here as well. But I think one of the challenges and opportunities we need to solve for next year, and it's not just for New Zealand, it's for Victorians as well that wish to fly their horses across. Some of the costs that I'm hearing that some of the connections have to pay to get their horses up from Victoria and across from New Zealand is starting to get right up there. And I think the club and Racing Queensland probably need to talk to a couple of carriers there to see what we can do to try and make it a little bit more economical for participants to get their horses up or across from New Zealand. I think that might help solve some of the challenges for the Kiwis as well. And I know for some connections in Victoria, it was sort of like 15,000 plus one-way ticket to fly from Victoria to Queensland. So I think if we can help solve for that, I think we might see even a few more horses come up. And you're right, this year we got more New South Wales than we got last year. We continue to get strong support from Victoria. We did have a few Kiwis come across, but probably not to the numbers that we thought early on, and they just fell by the wayside. But I know it's only a matter of time before they all come together.
It's actually it's interesting how it does work. At the end of the day, I think right at the minute you probably got the best horses. You mentioned there before about Merlin and maybe a couple of Mark Purdons from New South Wales, and there's possibly a couple of Victorian horses that are just sitting back, behave. But across the board, you must have been wrapped with the quality of horses, both pacing and trotting, that you were able to get there to that carnival this year.
It was great, Paul. I think when I look at a lot of those races, it's the depth that continues to improve. Like years gone by, maybe there's 3 or 4 really solid horses there. It's now like 6 and 7, 8 horses in a field that are fantastic horses. So I think it's the depth and the quality just continues to improve. And this year, the Queensland owned horses and trained horses did particularly well in our carnival too. So we're starting to step up a little bit more in terms of the quality as well. But I think also for some of our interstate and Kiwi connections, they realise that you have to have a pretty good horse to bring across for the carnival to make it, worthy for the connections to bring it. So I think, that's testament to how strong this carnival is getting, that it will continue to attract, the best of the best that are racing at that particular time. And it was great to have the West Australians come across. I know Rob Tomlinson, for example, there was 40 people flew in from Western Australia to support Magnificent Storm. So that's the first time that we've had a WA horse there for a while, and they flew 40 people across.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Which is fantastic.
You might not get Magnificent Storm next year. You don't know, but you got to try and get sort of 2 or 3 of those people, and maybe the next big West Australian horse to come out as well. That's always our challenges in the industry. That's not a Queensland challenge. That's the challenges, and you guys have got a bit of a blueprint, if you like, for the carnivals going forward. The trotters, Brad. I think personally, as a person who loves the trotters, and I think they're the future. I reckon you get yourselves a 9 out of 10, and I'm not being too harsh. It was just unfortunately the Oaks and the Derby just didn't work. The Oaks probably was a pass mark because of it had all the fillies that were in form, if you like, there. Maybe it would have been nice to get a couple more, but Dave Miles made mention. Rocking with Attitude is the benchmark. So why are they other Victorians going to go up there and chase her around when they can stay at home and wait for those other races? So I suppose there's pluses and minuses, but the Derby would have been probably a disappointment for the club's point of view.
Yeah, I mean, we'd always like a bigger field, Paul, but I think as time goes on, that pool will start to get bigger as we keep holding those races. So, and I expect the pool might be even larger next year, and it was the first year. So we'll sit down and just see what else we can do to try and, fill those fields up a little bit more. As a minimum, we'd love to have a minimum of 8 horses in each of those races. It didn't happen this year, but some of the horses that we had in there, as you said, Rocking with Attitude did an outstanding job. I think it's now won 3 or 4 Group 1s, which is, outstanding for a horse so young. So, yeah, it probably didn't hit the numbers that we needed, but it's not to say that it was a failure. It's just things that we can tweak to keep building it year on year, because I think it's still an Oaks and it's still a Derby, and it looks great on a pedigree, and it's a great aspirational race that all owners and breeders want to win. So we'll keep pushing them along, Paul. It can only improve from here, and that's just that benchmark for us.
No, you're right. She won 3 Group 1s in a row. That mare, Rocking with Attitude, then ran 4th in the thing. And please, absolutely, I'm not knocking. The one thing I do embrace was it was the first year. People have got to be aware this is actually the first year you've had an Oaks and a Derby. So that part in itself, hats off to you guys. And going from there, it's just, it was possibly just the one thing. But would you consider moving them, Brad? Is that something that you guys might consider? Maybe prior to the Great Square, to have the build up for the Great Square. Maybe you unearth a horse that may not have been targeted at the Great Square. Maybe one of the locals stands up against Rocking with Attitude and they say, well, hang on, we're going to have a crack.
No, I think you're right, Paul. There's some really good tweaks that we'll definitely sit down and have a look at, because I do think there are some ways there that we actually can make that a little bit more appealing and attractive. And with the Great Square, we've also, similar to the Rising Sun, where we have a lead-up race where Queensland trained horses can go straight into a Rising Sun. We're going to do something similar with the Great Square next year as well. So we can do some more preliminary lead-up races, both for the Oaks and the Derby, and also the Great Square, just to tweak that a little bit more. So you're right. There are a couple of good things there that we certainly can do, and that planning has actually already started. We had our first meeting today, so believe it or not, we're already working on next year's Constellation Carnival.
Oh, I believe you should be, and I think as an industry, we all need to be doing exactly what you guys are doing. Follow your lead and embrace it. The older horse trotters, you had the Queensland Trotters Cup, a Group 1 event. It's part of the Grand Circuit for the trotters as well, which possibly doesn't get marketed enough. The Grand Circuit for trotters, but Majestic Trio was awesome. But you've got horses like Sugar and Spice for Pete and Chantel. She won the week before. The old age trotters, that's a well deserved tick. Some people would say, well, they're probably not quite the top liners. Take your top liner there. Try and beat them. I think hats off to you guys for what you were able to put on. Good numbers of trotters, good representation from the States. I think it was awesome.
And I think, Paul, if I'm correct, it's the first trotter that Brad Hewitt has ever trained.
Yep.
So, it just goes to show you what's possible, and it was, I think it's part owned by Jared Croker, the captain of the Canberra Raiders, and I'm pretty sure Jared made it to the race meeting the previous week, but unfortunately couldn't make it that night, and I think he had an interesting 2 winners that night, so we just be seeing Jared that night, but yeah, Brad Hewitt's first trotter he's ever trained, and it's come out and was a fantastic performance.
I have got the results up. You're right, he definitely owned that horse. Do you know the other horse that he had a share in?
I can't recall, but he had two winners that night. I'd say they're probably both trained by Brad Hewitt.
Oh yeah, there we are. Sorry, yeah. She's the reason won the Queensland Oaks Consolation. Sorry, the Queensland Oaks Consolation. Yeah,
race 9. Yeah, so Jared had a double on the night, and unfortunately, as I said, because of his football commitments, he wasn't able to make it. But he was on track the previous week.
Guess who's watching us live right now? Brad Hewitt. I might try and Brad, if you're up for it, I'll get you on Talking Trotters next week, and we'll discuss it in a bit more. But I tell you, his stable's flying too. I was fortunate enough to meet him the Miracle Mile Carnival when I was doing some stuff there for Club Menangle earlier this year.
Do you know why they call him Hollywood, Paul?
No.
Okay. Neither do I. I just thought I'd ask. But that's his trade name apparently. Hollywood.
It's okay. It's okay if someone else gave it to him. If he's named it himself, well, he's in serious
worries. Self-appointed.
He's in serious worries. We'll see. We'll see if he knows how this on loose lines works. Whether he gets back to us or not. But I think he represents him. The other one thing before I discuss the end of the minute, one thing I do want to highlight for people that may not watch Talking Trotters, and I was able to show Brad's drive actually last week on Majestic Trio. The drone footage that you can watch. So if you watch any replay, I'm going to say any replay, Darren Clayton might tell me off for this, but most replays, if you watch it in its entirety, let it keep going. They actually have the drone footage of the last 400 if the drone works, and you can see that. And so you can actually witness how timing's everything. Majestic Trio was able to get off the fence without causing any interference, without touching any wheels, but also keep its momentum up. So you can see why the horse just joined in. It's just a great way to be able to view it. But on top of that, Brad, you've got this stewards footage that you can go there. So if you click onto, when you go to the results, you go to the results section, and the media player comes up in a I'll say half screen size, and you've got two options. And I encourage people to watch the stewards footage, because I tell you, if you're a disgruntled punter, most of your disgruntlement can be, if that's a word, can actually be eased, if you like. All arguments can be settled by being able to watch this stewards footage, which is just terrific.
It does, Paul, and to your point, sometimes it solves the who's at fault, but I think, what it also shows is the unbelievable skill that our drivers have got. I think sometimes, when we're just seeing some of the footage, you can't quite pick up just how skillful our drivers are, and particularly the one you talk about with Brad Hewitt. I mean, watching that film just further identifies the outstanding drive that Brad put in that horse, and so it just further highlights just the incredible skill that these drivers have got in those sort of races. And, like the Black to Fate race, where Grant, in a crisis moment, knew to take the weight off one side of his gig to put it on the other because he had a flat tyre. I mean, just incredible skill that sometimes goes unnoticed just looking at one film.
You've been around the industry for a long time. I keep saying about the race at Tamworth when Grant took that horse there, and he was just awesome. I think one of the greatest training performances I saw was with the Victorian Derby last year, when he got his pants pulled down, and there's no other way of saying it, by Captain Ravishing in the heats. yet a lot of people probably missed the whole point of what actually was going on, that he was late getting there. I think he only got there on the Thursday with the flight because of the flight interference. And he drove that horse that night like a trainer and a horseman, came out in the final and said, this is the real horse. And then he turned around and, that effort the other night was a trainer. That was a person. I don't think he's worried about the Eureka. I reckon my thoughts are, when you see that, he's not worried about his next race or where he's going to go, Grant. He's just like, mate, you're too good to be towing this wheel. We can't pull up because the public wouldn't cop it. So I'm going to do the best I can. I'm not going to hit you. I'm not going to punish you out. You just run to the line in yours, and we'll get the card off you straight away, and I'll walk you back in. He's just a full-blown horseman, isn't he?
It is, Paul, and you can only imagine what would be going through Grant's mind, at that particular time. As you said, had the eyes of Australasia on him. Most of the punters were on him. He wanted to do the right thing by all of those people, but also the horse. And just to be able to focus on that, as I said, in that moment of crisis was, just incredible to see how he managed that. And I guess it's just testament to the cool way that Grant goes about his business. And, I know there's been a couple of races this year that I saw, race at Redcliffe and probably a race at Albion, where I thought to myself, gee, I don't think Leap to Fame can win this race. But he did, and that's because Grant knows that horse inwardly. He knows what he can do. And I was with a Victorian chap on Rising Sun night, and I think he made the call to me that at the 600 he didn't think Leap to Fame could win. But as we keep saying, champions leave a lump in your throat and $1 in your pocket, and that's exactly what Leap to Fame continues to do.
Redcliffe was just outstanding. There's no way known he could have won at Redcliffe, and what he did was just next level. He is a really, really exciting horse. He's a great horse to be able to, say you've seen. And as I said, a bloody race at Tamworth of all things on a Thursday afternoon. It was just one of those ones I wasn't expecting. But anyway, that does happen. Jack Smith, I've already done an interview with Carter Dalgety last year in New Zealand, but I'll definitely get another one. Carter's always a bit of fun. We could talk clothing. I might be able to get sponsored by his clothing brand and the likes. We need him in Queensland. We need the Dalgetys back here in Australia. So there's no worries, Jack.
Well, I think Cran's actually toned down a bit on his
he has.
On his shirts, Paul, which is a bit disappointing. But
he's gone even back to the old polos, which is a real worry. So anyway, if Cran's watching, we'll be able to G him up a bit, so he'll be fine. So we need him to get dressed when he's been at the bar for a while, because there's no.
Well, we had a very successful fashions of the field this year during our carnival, which we've never had before, which featured the ladies, and they were outstanding. But I think next year we might add another section to that to have a male fashions on the field. So maybe that's where we can get Cran out of out to participate in that. I think he'd make a big splash.
You better get me up there as well, mate, and we'll be we could have a lot of fun with some Larry shirts, but that's okay. Into Dominion. It's a little way away. There's still plenty of racing to go on for the season. It is going to be a long season when you know everything that is going ahead. But plans would be well and truly in play now for that.
They are, Paul. The biggest opportunity we've got at the moment is around infrastructure, just making sure that we've got enough spaces for people to fill on our complex. And we did a little trial run this winter carnival on a few things that worked. But that's the one that we need to solve for right now. It's just getting that infrastructure right, which we will. I think the conditions for the Inter-Dominion got released today. I'd be confident shortly that Racing Queensland will be able to announce, the sponsor of the series, and also we're working collaboratively with Racing Queensland at the moment to get a headline act for our Inter-Dominion. The target market for us, apart from the traditional Inter-Dominion supporters, will be definitely targeting that under 35 age group to try and get them fascinated by harness racing, Paul.
Yep, which is what we need, and we need people to fall in love with it. Kim Collison's watching, great harness person. You must be excited though, off the back of the such a great winter's carnival. You're going to have better weather in theory. I know it doesn't always work that way, but in theory you'll have better weather and the likes going forward. So you never know how many people you can get there. That's for sure.
No, look, we're going to aim pretty high in terms of how many people we can get there. On top of that, we're building out the social activities as well to support the carnival, and also some accommodation packages and other bits and pieces. We've already got our Inter-Dominion microsite that's up on the Creek website where people can go in and check out some details already. They won't be able to see packages and entry fees and those sorts of things just yet because we haven't finalised them, but certainly there's a lot of information on there. And Paul, because I'm talking to you tonight, don't be surprised if we don't introduce our own beer for Inter-Dominion as well. We've got someone making a special beer for us at the moment. I'm not a beer drinker, but we may have our own branded beer for sale through the Inter-Dominion series as well.
You got to get a sparkling water for me.
And myself, lemon lime bitters for me, Paul.
Mind you, I've lashed out. I've gone with the old Schweppes. I don't know, Schweppes sponsor. They sponsor Menangle, I know that. But yeah, I went out with the raspberry today, but can't get through the whole lot. It's way too sweet for me. But that is all right. We will touch more on the Inter-Dominion going forward. We'll probably touch on also the new track. And where that all looks and how that all looks a bit later on, Brad. But I just wanted to cover off on the Queensland race. It wasn't part of my programming. We hadn't rang about it, so I really appreciate you coming on, mate, and giving us a bit of time. And well done to everyone in Queensland. I think it's been a great carnival and a lot of fun. I think the other part where you guys, you throw rocks at us about the good weather, and Matt Cooper says they're a great carnival, absolutely fantastic racing and well done. Where the thing where it does fit is here in Victoria, Queensland and parts of New Zealand. Tasmania. Victoria, Tasmania and parts of New Zealand. It is cold. It is dark. So we're home and we're inside watching these races. So albeit we can't be there, I think that's the other part where it does work. You've got this captive audience, if you like, that are stuck in a house and just marvelling at the racing, but also people walking around in T-shirts. I think that's always one of those things. Duncan McPherson is on. Hopefully we can get an Aldebaran trotter up there next year, although he'll tell me off. He did breed Rocking with Attitude. Well, he didn't breed Rocking with Attitude, but of course he's by his ill-fated sire in Aldebaran Eagle. So before he tells me off for that one, but we'll try and get him up there for that. It's probably one of those things, isn't it, Brad? A bit the APG or the APTS trotting series, 50,000. Would have been nice to have got a horse like Aldebaran Miley up there for your Oaks and potentially hang around for the Derby. Would have made it a little bit more intrigued. But they're teething bumps, and everyone can work through those. Yeah,
absolutely. Look, we might get Duncan up. He might be a summertime person, Paul. A bit like me, I would sweat in a fridge. So I'm not always great at summertime, but maybe we get Duncan up for a nice humid summer in Queensland for the Inter-Dominion. As I said, there'd be a great culling Inter-Dominion series as well. We might see Duncan then and his horses.
You're good at getting everyone else. What about you get Campbell's comments up there?
I'm sure Campbell's comments will be up there. I know you love the heat as well, Paul. So I'm sure we'll definitely see you up in Queensland for the Inter-Dominion one way or another.
The dates, Brad?
1st of December is the opening heats, and just behind the scenes at the moment, we're building an unbelievable one-off opportunity that I can't say any more about because the owner hasn't finalised it, but you'll see a massive promotion that everyone's going to want to participate in for our Inter-Dominion. But 1st of December will be the first heat, Paul.
Rightio, done deal. Diane Riley, if she's that owner, she's online, mate. I could find out. She said I should have been there, Paul, interviewing the Queensland identities. I only have to interview one, Diane. You're it, and my ratings go through the roof. So she's always.
Well, I think Diane's probably hit the spelling farm for the next couple of weeks, Paul, because she was a participant at all our race meetings, a number of our social events over the carnival. So I think she's giving herself 2 weeks in the paddock. And then we'll see her back again. Just a little freshen up for Diane, and a chance for us to restock our the click back of the track.
Miracle Mile. She told me she was going to some spa place, but she thought she was going on a 2 week break, but she could only get 1 week off at that stage. She told me the name of the spa, but anyway, she's definitely a lot of fun, and that's what harness racing is. It is fun. We want people to be able to enjoy it and get behind it and have that sort of fun. So it's definitely it is good. I've seen some Queensland identities. It might be in New Zealand, might be a bit cooler from over there in Queenstown, I believe. So anyway, story for another day. So they've all had a big carnival, so it's all good. Brad, thanks for joining me. Thanks for coming on and promoting it. And well done. If you could pass on our congratulations to everyone. I will get in touch with Bricky and we'll do a discussion about the Inter-Dominion and how it looks once you've, I suppose, announced all of those ones. You haven't told me this one, so that's a bit cheeky of you, but that's all right. He quite often, anyone wondering, Brad does tease it, and I might slip the odd one out there every now and then, just a bit of fun. But he hasn't told me this one, so I can't slip it out. So there's no way I can get into trouble. That's right, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I struggle to keep secrets, Paul. I just like to feed a little bit of stuff that I'm able to, just to get people interested and fascinated. And as I said, when it comes out, it'll be a fantastic promotion. A money can't buy type event for certain individuals and maybe a charity as well. But that's still being worked out. But it'll be something that everyone will want to participate in, particularly if you're up here in Queensland for the Inter-Dominion Carnival. I'd also watch out for some of the entertainment that we might have on over the carnival as well. Paul, might be a band or two there that that would appeal to yourself, that we might be able to have on as well. Something like a Sneaky Sound System, you'd be all over them. Just to name a band.
Sneaky Sound System, is that a band? Wasn't sure. Just I'll throw you under the bus here. What sort of music do you reckon I enjoy?
All sorts.
Oh, yeah.
I reckon you'll be all sorts, Paul. I reckon maybe jazz.
Give me. I don't know if you're watching, but how about I'll give you a hint, and you'll be able to see. Duncan has just sent me a message too. Aldebaran Zeus is working out tomorrow night. So Duncan, if you send me these things before the show, instead of when the show's nearly over, it'll get further. That is for sure. He will be racing. Doesn't say when. I'm confused. Big afternoon at Melton. Okay. Maybe I should have read this a little bit better. The appearance of Aldebaran Zeus will add another layer to an exciting period before Friday nights. Okay, so there's going to be a couple of trials. Contender Captain Ravishing is set for a 2 o'clock hit out at Melton. At Melton, trained Brett Lilly has confirmed his star Square Gator will also do a solo piece of work. Okay, it's a bit confusing the way that is. Chris Halford will partner him. Don't have a time, but obviously that will be 2 o'clock workout. Duncan's just give that one to me as well. So I doubt that he's working around with Captain Ravishing, but it's interesting. Might have been a highlight during the night, but story for another day. And go from there. And the other thing is with Duncan, if you can get Duncan to Queensland, you put a triathlon on. That's the go with Duncan, and you'll get him up there. There's no problems there at all.
He does all the 3 legs, doesn't he, to the triathlon, not bike or run?
No, yeah, seriously. Yeah, no, he leaves me for dead. No, he's I don't think he's the fastest, but he has competed in
the under 50s.
He's finished quite a few of them. So yeah, no, he's a very, very passionate man. If with a lot of things, and the triathlons is one of them. Sorry, I've got a text message here. Oh no, I found it. It's okay. You get those ones, and I'm like, I've missed someone here as well. Right, mate. I will be at Melton, so depending on what time I get there, I'll catch up with Duncan a bit later on anyway and just see how that horse does trial, because of course he's heading to North America. Captain Ravishing getting ready for the Eureka, so plenty more happening in the world of harness racing. Brad, thank you. I really appreciate you coming on, mate, and give me a bit of time.
Yeah, anytime. Thanks very much, Paul. Good night, everyone, and have a great breeding season, everyone.
Exactly. Thank you very much, Brad. That's Brad Steele joining me. Can take that hat off as well. So there has been plenty going on. Big show. gone for nearly 2 hours. But anyway, that's okay. That's what On Loose Line does, and has a little bit of fun. Just Jared Maloney didn't join in tonight because he wouldn't have been able to, because he was at Swan Hill, and there was the Heidi George. There it is there. The second heat has been taken about the New South Welshman in Ella's Reason for Alan Bartley and Blake Jones have taken that out. So they'll be contesting next week's final. That is August the 2nd at Bendigo. So they will be there. So congratulations to them. I would imagine Alf Namala would be one of those. Mark Lee Kaz, President's Last Lady. Mark Lee, what a segment that is. And Talara's Shadow will all be taking part in that that race. And just so people are aware, the Barristock Challenge, Mark Lee is actually winning that with a time of 2:12.53. There will only be one more. A lot of people are requesting having a crack, but it will finish at the end of July. It won't be the last one. Definitely will not be the last one, but it's just going to take a little bit of a rest for the same time. But Stacey Towers there with 2 minutes and 35. She actually did it with President's Last Lady. So well done to her. In fact, I wonder if Victor the Inflictor's gone around. Neville Pangrazio's had a third. The Ainsworths have won with Night Whisper. Cashflow Cassie, Neville Pangrazio, he's having a great time. He even actually got the chockies there. That was in the Soho Tribeca. But Victor the Inflictor's going around a little bit later on. Keep an eye out for him, because he may get the chockies. He might be, don't know what race he's in. There he is there. Race 8 at 8:27, so he might get the chockies. Darren Clayton. Bribie Island Triathlon on the same weekend as round 1 heats for the Inter-Dominion. Darren Clayton, well done to you. Hats off. That's very, very well done. Duncan is possibly still on the line, so I wonder how hard it is. No, I don't think I'm anywhere near fit enough. I want to do one. I've done one, but not a serious one. So, yep, last out of the water. Duck out of water. Righto, guys. Thank you. As always, this show is a little bit random, but I really do appreciate both Nick Hooper with the Breed to Succeed, going to be August 20 at Shepparton. Make sure you get in touch with nrequine.com.au or harness.org.au to say that you are going. And of course, there is the chance of winning a service fee to 3 of these stallions. You can win it if you're a paid up member with Pastor Stephen, American Ideal, and Vincent, with some terrific people going to be there talking on the night. Representatives from KER and Avenel Vet Clinic, plus USA content as well. Unfortunately, I didn't get an email that I was waiting on to tell you everything about those, but that is it. As I said, really do appreciate everyone else that contributes, the guys at Woodlands and the like. So thank you very much for everyone that's had a bit of fun. I'll be back next week. As I said, most probably 99% sure that it will be live from Bendigo Harness Racing Club on night 2 of the Nutrien Heats. It will be held there, plus the final of the Heidi George with Dr. Kath McIntosh and the team from Lower Long Farms and Northern Rivers Equine. Thank you very much for joining me. There it is there. I was just trying to find my ending, and I will see you all next week live from 6 o'clock.